Oh, good ball, and here's a chance for the one that could settle it, and he has this time.
It was Patrick Kluivert's goal in Liverpool only 48 hours ago that confirmed Holland will play in next year's European Championship finals. The Dutch fans are still cheering. Some haven't gone home. They plan to stay till next June and celebrate not qualifying, but winning the tournament. It all developed from a proposal by Monsieur Henri Delaunay of the French Football Federation back in the late 50s. Then titled the European Nations Cup, it was the Soviet Union who were the first winners in 1960. Only 17 teams had entered the competition. 4 years later, the defending champions went to the final but were beaten by Spain. 29 countries had tried their luck. The tournament was growing. By 1968, the European Nations Cup had become the European Championship. Another home victory for Italy, who beat Yugoslavia. The fourth championship was dominated by West Germany. They had great names in their side. Müller scored twice in the final. A young Beckenbauer picked up the trophy. The 1976 final had to be decided by a penalty shootout. West Germany the losers this time. Czechoslovakia ecstatic and worthy winners. But the Germans remained a dominant force. 4 years later, Rubesch scored a late winner, and West Germany became the first and to date the only country to win the trophy twice. The 1984 tournament belonged to Michel Platini. The Frenchman scored in the final and held the trophy aloft, and in Paris too. In 1988, a stunning goal from Marco van Basten symbolised the brilliance of the Dutch. Holland deserved and enjoyed their victory in Munich. And in 1992, Denmark supplied the most romantic of all championship victories. The expulsion of what was then Yugoslavia gave them the backdoor entry to the finals. They came off the beach, won the trophy, and have qualified to defend it. And on Sunday here at Birmingham's International Convention Centre, the draw for Euro 96 will be made. Preparations are well underway. The 16 finalists will be represented. Who plays who, where and when will all be decided. You can see it as it happens on BBC One at 1:45. The great and the good of European football will be present, and so will Goliath, the tournament mascot. The last time England hosted a major tournament 30 years ago, the mascot for what was a victorious campaign in 1966 was another lion, one World Cup Willie.
When we actually won it, it was just a fantastic event. And I feel similar. Obviously, the European Championships are not the World Cup, but nevertheless, it is the biggest event that we've had here with regard to football since. And I think a lot of people are getting excited. I believe Wembley's almost sold out already, you know. And of course, there'll be 5 matches here at Old Trafford. And I think that it'll be just a sensational event. I hope that the team does well. I wonder whether we're good enough to actually win it, but we'll be tough to beat when we get.
Are England good enough to win Euro 96?
Well, that's the big question. It's a toughie, but I think personally we've improved as we've gone along. We've still got a little way to go, but we've still got a bit of time to go. I think our preparation by the time it comes round will be good. I think the attitude of the players is first class. We're capable of doing it, but we all know it's not going to be very easy. We've had this year, we've had Colombia, Norway, Switzerland, and now Portugal, and competitive games, I think. And we can be quite happy with how we've stood. But we want to be better. We've got to be better. We've got to get better quickly.
It's almost 2 years since Terry Venables was appointed England coach, and for one reason or another, the bulbs have continually flashed on the cameras. In 14 friendly internationals, the record reads lost 1, drawn 7 and won 6.
Good running by Platt. Very good running by Black. What a fine goal. And the England captain scores the first goal of the Terry Venables era.
There was victory over European champions Denmark, and 3 other finalists have visited Wembley. There was a 1-1 draw with Romania. With goals difficult to come by, a 3-1 win over Switzerland only a month ago was welcome. And as recently as Tuesday, at Wembley again, England drew with a highly rated Portuguese side. Facing possible Euro 96 opponents has been useful. That's the opinion of the England coach.
It's very helpful because I've learnt a lot from those 4 particular games in different ways. I know now what we've got to do if we're going to win against Portugal. Switzerland, I think we've got to maintain what we did there. Romania, technically excellent. I'll put them very similar to Colombia, the way they like to keep the ball, make you run, and they'll keep it in very little tiny areas, and they stretch you back 4. We're richer for that experience, and the more experience the players get and I get at this level, the better we're going to be.
At first, Venables was concerned England were tactically naive against top international opposition, but progress has been made.
We've got lots of good things to our game, don't get us wrong, there's a lot of passion, mentally tough. We'll work very hard. If you can't cover all the spaces and you can't get the grips with good passing and good technique, you know, you're going to have to run twice as far as the opposition anyway. So, and then they run your legs out, and as the game goes on, it dips. So, you know, we do play flat out, and that is hard to keep going for 90 minutes. And you've got to do it in a competition where you've got 6 games potentially coming up very quickly.
Throughout England's preparations, Venables has been the subject of adverse allegations about his business affairs. And despite being heavily criticised by a judge this week, he's steadfast in defence of his reputation.
The biggest thing that has been helpful is the fact that I know the truth. Now that is helpful, whatever happens, and those close to me know the truth. So if the truth was damaging, I think it would have been more difficult. But because I know the truth and what I feel about it, that helps me enormously. And a lot of people have been very supportive, and it's been a long time. Hopefully it won't go on too much longer. That would be helpful.
And as always, another talking point surrounds the state of mind of the inimitable Paul Gascoigne.
We've seen him in the World Cup in '90, and he was an outstanding player for us, possibly the best player in the tournament, could be argued. And he has a special talent, like Bobby Charlton had a special talent. They're different, but a special talent. And if you can use that, you've got to use it. I think he's on track. He's still got 6 months to get himself right, and if he gets himself bang on, we've got a real player, a real guy that is going to be an ace in our pack.
Alan Shearer is acknowledged as a great centre-forward. Strikers go through periods when they can't get a goal sometimes. Do you think that's playing on him now?
You're not a goal scorer of that quality, and then the next day you're not a good goal scorer anymore. It's just a matter of actually keeping your head right and keep playing, and it comes. And then when you can't score, you feel it's like winning. You feel if you can't win, you never win. If you have on a good run, you think you'll never lose. And it's like goal scorers. They think they're going to score every week, or the opposite. If you let that pull and push you around.
What does Tony Adams add to an England side?
Tony Adams epitomises the spirit of the country, really, because he is proud to play for England as well as his club, and he'll give everything that he's got, and he's infectious. He's good to have in the team. Players like to be around him. He's knowledgeable, experienced, and it's an experience that's important to him.
And if Tony Adams has spirit, Terry Venables remains resolute. He's taking each allegation and criticism as it comes.
It's to do with not being beaten, having the resilience to fight what's wrong and unfair. If you know something's right and you believe in it, it's worth battling for.
England under Venables will battle for a championship that, behind the World Cup and the Olympics, stands as the 3rd largest sporting event in the world. In its baldest terms, Euro 96 is 31 international football matches in just 3 weeks. It's fair to say there's been much to discuss.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to do my job here in the English language, but as you know, my relation to the English language is the same as to my wife. I love her, but I have no command of her.
Tournament director Glenn Curtin commands a team that's been meeting and planning for over 3 years. Organising the many facets of Euro 96 has been a giant undertaking.
We're trying to convey the impression that this is going to be a football festival to which everybody is welcome, and we want the public in general, everybody who's involved with the tournament, to welcome our guests from overseas with open arms, not to look at them as a potential problem. These are our guests. We're going to give them a good time.
Good afternoon, Euro 96.
There's 1.3 million tickets to sell for all of the matches, and we're already, as far as the English market is concerned, approaching the 400,000 sale. And what we anticipate is that the draw itself will actually stimulate people who can see there's a particular match. Germany are playing there, Italy are playing there, so I'm going to go and see that game. It's going pretty well. The Premier League is now a place to go to see top-level football in the best of comfort. The presence of 14,000 people from overseas at each game may mean they'll have to have a look at their menus a little bit more closely. There'll be no calls of hold up the match because the meat pies haven't arrived. It'll be more like the paella and the spaghetti. But yes, the clubs will do that, and they're already making their plans in that direction.
So, as I say, the main thing tonight is to be informative, be polite, be helpful.
We don't envisage any issues on stewarding for these games that are different from Premier League.
No tins, bottles, cameras, no nuclear missiles, plutonium.
We'll have a lot of supporters from England and then a fair number of supporters from the two teams that are competing in the match. So there are different issues, sensitive issues, issues of communication with people who don't necessarily speak your language. But the task remains basically the same, and our clubs again are becoming very, very good at this. Every tournament needs its marketing tools, it needs to brand itself, and we developed a look for the tournament, we developed a logo, and then it was decided we needed a strapline. And we couldn't think of anything better than Football Comes Home, because this is football's home. This country is where it all started. And I think most of the people who come here to play, participate, or to support their teams will look on it exactly that way. We're going to the home of football, where it all began.
The estimated cumulative audience is set at just under 7 billion. And a qualifying tournament that featured 47 countries has been well supported. For the first time, 16 nations will compete in the finals, and there's no mistaking the quality of the teams and the players that have won through. Barcelona's Georgi Hagi will prompt Romania. His talent is respected throughout Europe, and the Romanians have followed up the success of reaching the World Cup quarter-finals. English football has failed to lure Hagi, but Dan Petrescu is with Chelsea and is a regular member of the squad. Many people feel Romania got the better of England in the draw at Wembley. The team has been together for a long time. They can keep the ball, and they kept scoring the goals that made them Group 1 winners. France put themselves under pressure by only drawing 5 of their first 7 games, but they have a new hero in Yuri Djorkaeff. Qualification was looking uncertain, but the French rallied. Azerbaijan were beaten 10-0. There was a vital win in Romania. The best defensive record in the qualifying tournament helped them into the Group 1 runners-up spot. Gallic flair is still in evidence, and if Manchester United's Eric Cantona is invited back, and he can get on with Newcastle's David Ginola, on paper, the French would look good. Marshalled by their experienced goalkeeper, Andoni Zubizarreta, Spain had Group 2 by the scruff of the neck. They were unbeaten in their 10 games. Reigning champions Denmark were one of the vanquished. Tipped to be a top performer in England is Luis Enrique of Real Madrid, a goal scorer against the Danes. Belgium were expected to make a challenge, the Spaniards took 4 points off them too. And defenders and goalkeepers will be aware of the shooting power of Fernando Hierro, Spain's top scorer in the qualifying games. As the qualifying tournament got underway, holders Denmark were grateful to their goal scorers from the 1992 final. Kim Vilfort scored against Belgium. And in the same match, Arsenal's Jon Jensen was also on target. 3 wins in their last 4 games saw the Danes pull away from Belgium and claim the runners-up spot in Group 2. They have the talent of the Laudrup brothers at their disposal. Brian of Glasgow Rangers, Michael of Real Madrid. And the Danes will always be in with a shout, especially with Manchester United's Peter Schmeichel in goal. Switzerland's successful qualification campaign ended with a big thank you to Croydon-born Roy Hodgson, the Englishman who coached the side to World Cup '94. He steps down after Euro '96. There is talent in the Swiss squad. Siri Sforza of Bayern Munich is a member of a side that with Turkey dominated Group 3. Switzerland won in Istanbul, and with World Cup semi-finalist Sweden making little impression, Switzerland were able to climb a few more rungs of European football's ladder. If they have to, they'll walk on their hands and knees to visit England for Euro '96. For sure there's a player to watch out for in the Turkish side, Hakan of Galatasaray. And after so many foreign coaches, success has come with a Turk at the helm, Fatih Terim no less. And if Hakan can recreate goals similar to those he scored in the qualifying games, the Turkish fans will be absolutely delighted. Qualification was secured with victory over Hungary. Hakan scored again. The Turkish fans are known to be among the most fanatical in Europe, and who can blame them, having qualified for the championship finals for the first time. No one will sing a national anthem with more feeling than the players of Group 4 winners Croatia, a country that played its first international only 5 years ago. That's not to say Croat footballers didn't play a part in the European Championship pre-1990, but they had to play under the banner of what was then Yugoslavia. For the people of Croatia, supporting their football team symbolises supporting the emergence of their nation. The breakup of what was the Soviet Union created a climate that resulted in the map of Europe changing dramatically. The birth of Croatia came with a high price, though. The armed struggle in the Balkan region resulted in a tragedy impossible to describe with any adequacy. An example, the Sarajevo Football Club pitch is now a graveyard. The majority of Croatia's qualifying games were played with the conflict as the backdrop. But with the new peace settlements in place, Croatian children can start to be taught how to shoot footballs rather than rifles. And the players were acutely aware that national morale was in their hands.
Slušaj se, u ovom delikatnom momentu u kojem se nalazi naša država, mislim da mi imamo nekakve dodatne motivacije u odnosu na druge ekipe. To je nešto što nas tjera, što nam daje dodatnu snagu da, kad je to moguće, da našem narodu koji svaki dan pati, koji svaki dan proživljava razne nesreće, da im barem u tim momentima kad igramo utakmicu, da im s tim pobjedama donesemo 1-2 dana radosti i na taj način zaborave ovo sve što doživljavaju.
Alan Boksic plays for Lazio in Italy. 18 of the Croatian squad are talented foreign-playing legionnaires. Croatian skipper Zvonimir Boban is a national hero. He plays for AC Milan. Davor Zucker plays for Seville in Spain and was the qualifying tournament's leading scorer with 12. 2 of them in a sensational 2-1 win in Italy. It was a victory that made the rest of Europe sit up and take note. Convincing wins over Lithuania, Ukraine, Estonia and Slovenia took them to the top of the group. The The crunch game was in Split, the return against World Cup finalist Italy. And in the forefront of Croatian minds was the significance of qualifying to play in England, the country they respect as the cradle of football.
Tous les footballeurs au monde, mais particulièrement notre, ils rêvent de jouer à Wembley. C'est le rêve de chaque sportif, de chaque footballeur. Et je remercie aux fédérations Angleterre qui ont une délicatesse à nous appeler et on vient avec grand plaisir montrer, bien sûr, au public Angleterre qu'on pratique un football qui plaît.
Croatia are almost certain to be opponents for England in the run-up to the championship. For sure, their fans will add noise and excitement to next year's finals. It was a Zucker penalty that ensured a 1-1 draw against the Italians on almost certain qualification. The entire nation will celebrate supporting the country on the football field rather than the battlefield.
Right now, I think we are waiting for the Euro 96 to go there and to fight against, to compete against all those teams, best teams in Europe, and hopefully we can do well also in England, and I think that will be another step forward to new country, to better life here, because when everything settles down, when the economy will work, then the sports will also play a very major role in Croatia.
Winning Group 4 at the expense of the Italians is no mean feat. And on playing fields all over their country, brave young Croatian hearts see only one team as potential winners.
Hrvatska.
Hrvatska.
Hrvatska. Hrvatska. Hrvatska. Hrvatska. Hrvatska. Goal!
Croatian success put Italian boss Arrigo Sacchi under pressure somewhat, but his side showed flashes of their ability, and when it matters, the Italians usually get it right. Names that popped up during the qualifying period: Gianfranco Zola. There were goals for the quicksilvered Fabrizio Ravinelli, and his Juventus teammate was also in on the act. That's the new wonder boy, Alessandro Del Piero. And despite being down to 10 men, their draw in Croatia was deserved. Italian football can never be discounted. Ponytail Thomas Skuravi is the spearhead of the Czech Republic, who scrapped away with Holland and Norway. Group 5 was a tight affair, but the Czech Republic, with goals from Skuravi, ended up with their noses in front. Taking 4 points off both the Dutch and the Norwegians was the base they built on to win their qualification. The Czech Republic won't be one of the favourites, but they're more than equipped to surprise someone. Portugal were the outstanding team in Group 6, as both Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland discovered. Fiorentina's Rui Costa was missing from Tuesday's team that played England. He's one of a talented group of young players the Portuguese have developed.
Oh, it's a great ship! Oh, it's in!
Throughout the qualifying period, their players were able to produce individual goals of the highest quality. Paulino Santos is a player who may well entertain the fans next year. And Portugal will return with their best side since 1966, when they went to the World Cup semi-finals. The star of Group 7 winners Germany needs no introduction. And if there's a Spurs shirt lying around, put it on Jürgen Klinsmann, leading Germany to the latter stages of Euro 96. But as Wales discovered, he's not the only one. Heiko Herrlich of Borussia Dortmund has to be marked tightly. But Klinsmann, who scored 9 times in 10 qualifying games, remains one of Europe's most prolific scorers. Twice winners, twice runners-up, Germany have the best record in the championship. Klinsmann and co are keen to add to the success. Bulgaria, led by the talent of Hristo Stoichkov, beat Germany in last year's World Cup. And the Bulgarian emergence continued with second place in Group 7. Stoichkov goals are the centre of proceedings. In the past, they've had a tendency to be inconsistent, but this time the Bulgars were always in with a chance of winning the group. It was really tough on Wales. Not only did they get Germany and Klinsmann, they had to face a rampant Bulgaria. And Stoichkov is still a threat to any defence. He hit 10 in the qualifying tournament. If goals aid recovery, Russian Premier Boris Yeltsin will look to his footballers. They top scored in the qualifying tournament and were Group 8 winners. If at first you don't succeed, score again was the Russian message. They hit the net 34 times, were unbeaten, although they had to settle for a point at Hampden against Scotland.
Looking for Ratchenko, and he's there ahead of Gorov, and Ratchenko has equalised.
The nucleus of the side comes from the impressive Spartak Moscow team. Most definitely, the Russians are coming. And so is a Tartan army. Scotland, the runners-up in Group 8.
We started when we went to Finland, which was a significant game up in Helsinki, and we opened up very well there with a victory.
McStay has played Boyd in, and that's towards Shearer. Oh, that's a terrific goal!
They did what they had to against the Faroe Islands, winning by 5-1, and it was important not to lose to the Russians at Hampden. Scott Fu, the goal scorer. Defeat in Greece was a hiccup, but it was the only reverse. A draw in Russia was a great result for Scotland.
We actually played exceptionally well in Moscow defensively. We might even have scored a couple of goals, so that lifted the spirits a bit. And we had remaining 5 fixtures. 3 relatively straightforward ones. We had San Marino twice. We had to go to San Marino and then here. Then we had the Faroe Islands away, a tricky one in June. And then we had 2 very important ones, vital game here, Greece, and then the next month we had Finland. So we managed to win the game in San Marino. We went up to the Faroe Islands and again managed a comfortable 2-0 victory in a difficult pitch in a windy night there in the Faroes. But the important one here was in August against Greece, and we had the Midas touch man, McCoy, came off the bench, and within 2 minutes of appearing, his first header, and he scored the winning goal, the only goal.
McCoy's got in! He scored! And Tony McCoy for Scotland!
The following month we played Finland here, and Finland had been doing reasonably well. They had won 5 home games in a row before losing to Russia, so they came optimistically here, and again we scored early in that match. Both headed a good goal. And that gave us a victory, a 1-0 victory. And I think it was relatively academic, the last match, when we won 5-0 against San Marino.
Scotland's place in the finals guaranteed, but as Sunday's draw approaches, whatever the concerns of UEFA, at some stage or other of the competition, Scotland are desperate for the chance to have a crack at England.
I think in a football sense it would be a great event. You know, we have been worried about off-the-field things that might happen, but I'm sure that the policing and the security will be such that if we were to play England, there will be no trouble. I want to emphasise that our supporters have been brilliant. They have never been in trouble in the last 2 decades. In fact, we got the Fair Play Award for the supporters in Sweden in the last European Championship. They are wonderfully supportive, but there's no malice at all, and I'm sure that would be the case if we were to play England.
Beating England on their home soil in the tournament which has been dubbed Football Comes Home, what would happen here?
Well, I think that would be marvellous, but you know, when England did win the World Cup, of course, with all their games at home again, we went down and we became world champions the next year when, of course, we beat England at Wembley then. So I think that would be the feeling here. I don't think the fans would object to us if we lost every other match. If we came here and they beat England, they would consider we were European champions.
At present, the Tartan Army will champion Craig Brown as their leader, but a wily Scot knows things can quickly change.
I remember, you know, one of my early, if I could tell you a wee anecdote, there are 2 dugouts here at Hampden, and I was the manager of a rival club, Clyde, just across there. We played Queen's Park, the local amateur team here. And I remember sitting in the director's box and going down to make a substitution and going into the wrong dugout, backing in. And the coach of Queen's Park, Eddie Hunter, suggested in no uncertain terms that I get to hell out his dugout. And as I was walking into our own dugout,